Hey everyone, welcome to the results video of my sixth contest, the Invent Your Own Ride contest. So yeah, like the name suggests, players had to basically create their own rides by modifying rides using the different cheats that Open Roller Coaster Tycoon 2 provides. We had 24 entries in this round. And I suggest we just go through all of them, so you can see what everyone made. I'll start with the ones that scored lowest, and I'll finish with the ones that got first place. So let's get to it. Alright, in last place we have this entry made by Codeman. What you can immediately see in this map is that actually it's quite a lot of the map is empty. Coasters are okay. You can see that this player is not very experienced yet with making buildings. I also used to make my buildings like this, but yeah, there's just a lot that can be improved. They could probably use some extra details, maybe also some stuff here on the inside. Coaster designs are also a bit crazy. So yeah, next time just try to fill more of the map with details, just to make stuff look interesting. Also, in these roads, it's probably not the best path choice for your map, unless they actually look like roads. These lines now look a bit silly. So yeah, you should only really use it if your park requires it. Alright, here's the park that got second last place. This one was made by DDD Rob. He's also a newcomer in this contest. You can immediately see some things in this park that might be a little bit strange. For example, there's just this random go-kart track on top of this rectangular plateau. You could have probably made a better layout for this go-kart. Also, there's not really a reason for it to be on top of this plateau. Probably on ground level it would have looked a lot better. So the coaster designs, they're a bit questionable. I mean, I've watched this coaster for a bit and it just goes really, really slow in some parts. You should really think of the pacing on your rides. And also on this launched coaster, well, let's just say that these really gentle slopes, they're made for high speeds. So yeah, if you make one of these gentle slopes upwards and then just follow with a tiny top hat, that just looks kind of silly. Also, there's a random track piece here floating around. And these buildings, well, they also look a bit random to me. So yeah, there's just a lot that can be improved here. The forest area here is kind of okay. You probably could have benefited from watching my tutorial on making nice forests. But yeah, overall not a bad effort, and I hope to see this player improve a lot in the future. Alright, here we have the entry from Lycos Jan. It looks like he tried to make a sort of a Disney park. You can see this ride here that he made. I think this is really cool. So yeah, he used the bobsleigh trains here, and I think he used some shoestringing. If you don't know what shoestringing is, just check my tutorial on shoestringing. But yeah, he used shoestring to make these cars, and as they go faster, because they're bobsleigh cars, they actually it looks like they swing outwards. So yeah, I think that's a really cool trick. I really like this ride. But yeah, other than this ride, I don't really think there was much in this park to really enjoy. Well, of course, except this part. Of course, I think this part is gorgeous with these cool monorail walls. And yeah, this part just looks awesome. I wish more of the park looked like this. It's really cool. Here we have the Disney logo, I think, made with flowers. Yeah, I think it's a bit of a strange choice to let the guests walk over all these flowers. that just looks a bit weird. And here's another ride, but this looks like it has a really big train, but other than that, there's not much to see here. So yeah, one really cool ride, one really cool part here with crazy paths and the monorail. But other than that, the park is not really that impressive in my opinion. But yeah, I hope to see a better entry from this player in the future. Alright, here we have the entry made by Griffin. Griffin made some cool rides. Here we have Giga Coaster, which actually has some inversions and has the limb coaster trains. I think it looks quite nice, pretty nice design. Here we have a little junior coaster, and here we have a Woody, which actually has a switchback element. So yeah, that's also quite cool. It's tucked away here in the corner. What Griffin probably could have improved on, well, probably the queue areas could have been made a little bit more interesting. A lot of the park here, especially within the trees, well, the trees look a bit chaotic in my opinion. This could have been improved quite a bit, probably by playing with the ground textures under it and just like making it a little bit more dense in areas where it should be a little bit more dense. But yeah, other than that, not a very bad submission from a first timer. Probably also the park could have used some buildings just to make a lot of areas just a little bit more interesting. So yeah, probably a good time for Griffin to start working on his building skills. Alright, here in 20th place we have this entry from Ricardo Wordo. Well, what immediately springs to mind as well. Most of the map is water. So yeah, Ricardo actually didn't have much time because he had to go on holiday, so that's probably also the reason why most of the park is water, and that also didn't really help his score. There are some nice rides here in the park. I like the jet ski ride that he made. I think they will go over the ramp. I'm not sure. You can actually see it here. Probably could have benefited here from a chain lift that would have boosted it to a higher speed here, just to make the jump over this ramp look a bit more believable. And of course there's this ride here, which is pretty cool. It's called Mega Twister. It's not shoestringed, it just has a station here. Alright, station is here actually. But it's pretty cool. Oh, he actually moved the entrance over here. But it's invisible. Alright, that's a pretty cool trick. Or actually there's an invisible path, I don't know. But yeah, I kind of like this ride. There's some crazy colors. Probably the cars would have benefited from some crazy colors as well. But yeah, some buildings here, they're quite featureless. They could probably use some extra windows and stuff. But I do like the trees here. That's quite well done. So yeah, overall not a very bad entry. Nice work from Ricardo Wordo, considering the little time that he had to work on it. Alright, in 19th place we have this entry from Timidator. Timidator made this water park with two crazy rides. You can see a water slide here, which actually is merged with a roller coaster track that makes some crazy curves. Well, I think this part could have been done a little bit better, because the boats obviously wouldn't be able to slide on this kind of track, but with some fantasy it is one crazy ride. So yeah, this probably could have been polished a bit. Other than that, yeah, there's this really long queue line which travels all the way up here. That probably could have also been done in maybe in a better way. You can usually make your queue lines look pretty cool with a mini golf track. But yeah, this probably could have used some work. Other than that, here's the River Rapids ride. It actually travels all the way up here. It's a vertical lift. Here's the station, and then it travels down here, and there's some really steep drops. It's probably not very safe, but it is a crazy ride. And I guess here's the exit of the ride. And here we have a river tour ride. I'm not really sure if I like this rail that's all the way here in the middle. Probably could have worked without that. Other than that, yeah, there's just not much to see next to the river tour. Probably some actual nice gardens next to the river would have been nice. And maybe also, instead of completely straight path, maybe some curves in the track, you know, just to make it look more interesting, so that guests would actually have something interesting to see. So yeah, it is. The rides are crazy, but I think this park would have had a lot more potential if, yeah, it just looked a bit more. If it was decorated a bit more. All right, here's the park from CXM 1060. He made this little park with a crazy coaster here, and suspended monorail that goes around the park. So yeah, the coaster actually travels up this lift hill vertically. Sadly, it has to wait here on the top. Probably the coaster could have used a mid-course brake section or an extra block brake section at the back. The coaster does have a nice layout. It travels through some big inversions, and here there's a big batwing. But yeah, when you make an inversion like this, I sometimes see people completely cover up their inversions with supports. You really should avoid doing that. What you should be doing is just put the supports on one side so that guests can still see the inversion from one side. Or just don't make these big supports for an inversion at all. Something like this is much nicer, just so that everybody has a clear view of the ride element. Okay, let's have some nice track texture, and there are some nice buildings here in the park as well. Some nice decorations. So yeah, overall not a bad submission at all. Now the coaster does have some weird elements. So for example, here there's a very fast twist followed by a little hill. Yeah, I think it goes a little bit too fast here. But yeah, overall not a bad entry. Alright, here we have the entry from Yibagun. He did make some crazy rides. I do really like the landscaping in this park. Overall, the landscaping is probably what I like the most here. So yeah, you can just go around, and yeah, I really like the elevation changes. Some nice trees here and there. Some nice landscaping. The rocks, the canyon rocks aren't overdone, so nice seating areas for the guests here. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff here that I like. Some stuff that I don't like is, well yeah, there are some rides that are really crazy. For example, you can see this monorail here, but actually for a large part of the ride it actually glitches through the track. Yeah, that probably could have been done in a better way. I would have not used monorail trains together with the suspended shuttle or whatever coaster. Inverted shuttle coaster, I think. Inverted impulse coaster, then that's the name. But yeah, you can see it right in the middle of the track. You really shouldn't be doing that. Because yeah, many people are also complaining about that in the comment section. Well, there's another crazy ride here. Here's a suspended coaster, but actually has a long train with chairlifts. That's actually pretty cool. And here we have a floorless coaster with a really crazy color scheme. So yeah, it starts with black and red, then it turns to this weird green color with yellow, and then here it's pink and purple. Yeah, it's not very cohesive. The color choices in the park were my biggest letdown actually. There's a really cool disco ride. So yeah, that's something I also liked about the park. But yeah, overall I think the park could have used a little bit more cohesion just really make everything part of a theme, and also the colors really could have used some improvement. Okay, here we have the entry made by Mystique93. Here's a really cool coaster. So as you can see, it leaves the station and then the coaster will only travel downwards. So yeah, here's a slope, here's a slope, here's a slope, and then it's back at the station. And the same goes for the River Rapids ride. You can see it travel here over this river, then it goes down the waterfall, and then here it's actually at the same height again. So yeah, it's really like an Escher painting. Well, of course it will not be possible, so already if you hide the scenery you can already see some shenanigans here that are going on. But yeah, this I think this park is really done in a clever way. This was one of my favorites of the round. It didn't score very well, but that's mostly because besides these rides there was not much else really to look at. And of course there's all these really high cliffs, but that's just to mask the ride, because it only really looks good from one angle. Because if we do cutaway view here and we hide the cliffs, that actually shows some of the stuff that's going on here. But I thought this was a really clever entry. This is very unique, not something you see very often. For example, here you can see the River Rapids ride. I think it's actually sped up here with the chain lift. It actually stays on the same height everywhere. And from the one angle it actually looks like it goes down the waterfall. But actually it just stays at the same height and just gets sped up here a bit. But yeah, this is a really cool entry. You really should go check out this entry yourself. If you remember on my Discord, you can simply download all the entries from the archive, and then you can go check them out for yourself. This one's really worth to check out. Alright, here we have the entry made by Trumafarium. I believe Trumafarium was on a holiday when he had to finish this park, so he only spent like 10 hours on it, he said, I think. But yeah, the stuff that he put down is quite cool. I do like these buildings. They're made with stuff from the expansion sets. Here's a pretty cool ride. Here called your typical French roundabout. You can actually see car 1 going around here underground. So yeah, it's a typical shoestring ride. Here's another cool ride. It's I think it's yeah, it's one of those hairpin cars that travel up a vertical track. So yeah, it's like one of those what do you call it? Well, yeah, mini versions of one of those launch towers. So yeah, that's I think that's really well done, really clever. Here we have a custom swinging ship made with this eel coaster. That's also really clever. And here we have a little junior coaster. But what I like most about this park here is this skate park that he made using these monorail cycles. This was the part that most people who commented liked, and I think this is really a really good way to use stuff from the expansion sets. These pieces are really believable as a half pipe or as a pool section of the park. So yeah, this is really well done. So yeah, for the little amount of rides that there were, they were really cool. So I think this is not a bad score for a park which only had a few hours put into it. So great job from Trumavarium. Okay, then here in 14th place we have the entry made by Tommy D. Okay, he made a really nice park. I do like the trees and the plants here, and he made some really cool rides. Here we have a reverse freefall coaster car that travels back and forth. So yeah, that's pretty cool. I like the way it looks, and I love the custom supports. It's quite flashy, and also the building for the station also looks pretty nice. So sort of a lighthouse here, that's pretty cool. Here we have one of those shady towers with a vertical lift and a helix down, and then some painful track here on the bottom. Yeah, I think there's one shady company that made rides like these. One of them was actually so rough that people had to wear head protection. So yeah, that's a pretty cool ride. And here's one of the rides that I like most. It's one of these swing rides with a really cool tower in the middle. And I believe it actually travels. Oh no, wait, it just stays at the same height. But yeah, that's really really well done. I love how this ride looks. And here's some beds on the beach made with mini coast or mini golf track. But yeah, overall a really nice entry. Something that could have been improved is the foliage here, the trees, probably with some different ground textures and a little bit more density of trees. This area would have looked a lot nicer right here. So yeah, when you make an area like this with trees, you really don't want the normal grass to shine through. You should really make it look a little bit more dense. Then it usually looks a lot better, especially for a jungle type area. Alright, and in 13th place we have this area made by Faz. He's a newcomer on my server. Well, first of all, it all looks very nice, but a complaint that some people had was that actually the area that was built on is pretty small. So yeah, that probably held him back in the score a little bit. But the stuff that is there looks really nice. So yeah, I think the idea of story of this park was that this was the island of the evil Deurklink. I wonder who that is named after. So yeah, the guests leave from the station here and they actually get launched through this track that was merged with bobsleigh track. The ride's called Brainwasher, and I really like this ride. This ride looks really nice, and it's decorated really well. I also love how we used the Goliath characters here. So yeah, to spell that's pretty cool. Also with some water splashing down. That's a really cool trick. Also, I love how we decorated this helix here. Also with the steeplechase track under it. And here's a sign saying "Follow my tutorials." There's also some entertainers under it, which said I should have laughed at this joke. I wish I followed his tutorials. And there's something else probably. I should have used Tile Inspector. I guess it's sort of a prison for people who didn't follow my tutorials. Or I mean Deurklink's tutorials. This park is not at all about me. Here we have a little boat hire. What I would have done probably is just made an invisible track, just to guide the boats here through the water, rather than have them all bunch up here at the beginning. There's another ride here called the Owl of Minerva. It's also quite a cool track, but one thing I didn't like about the track is that, well, it actually starts underground, but it really takes a long time to see the ride in action. Oh, you can actually see it go here. But yeah, the ride only has one train and it just takes really long for it to do a cycle. Guests are also waiting for it a long time. But yeah, if people have to vote on your park, then usually they're only going to look at your park for quite a short time. So then it's annoying if they have to wait for your coaster to actually do a cycle. So probably it could have used a few extra trains. But yeah, that's just a nitpick. Also here at the entrance, there's actually a path tile missing. Well, he did his best to hide it with trees, but really it's so easy to just, you just open Tile Inspector, you copy the footpath, you paste it here and you're done. So yeah, I think it was just a bit laziness here. But yeah, overall this is a really enjoyable entry. I wished there was a little bit more to it, but the stuff that's here looks really nice. So great job from Faz. Okay, here we have the entry made by Risico. He made this park called Alco Hollandia. It has some really cool rides. Here we have a ride called Euphoria. It's a mini suspended swinging coaster, actually with more cars per train. I really love how it's made. We have this what's it called? This ride called Confusion. I love these custom flat rides. This is really well done. Also love the queue here over the water, where he used the mine train track for the queue path. That's really well executed. Here's a go-kart track. I think it's called drunk driving. But yeah, the guests actually drive over it quite well. There's even a ramp here. Looks quite unsafe. For a ride called drunk driving, maybe it would have been nice if they swerved over the track a little bit more. But yeah, the go-kart is really well executed. I love the way it looks. And the red monorail track with the steeplechase track on top looks really good. Here there's also a beer bottle with a ride inside called Stupor. That's pretty cool. And here there's a motorbike ride, actually with uses Giga Coaster track, and it's launched. And it uses more motorbikes to make a longer train. So yeah, this is really well executed. I really like the rides in this park. And here we have a coaster called Hangover. This ride also looks really cool. It's very compact, really nice supports. I love the way this ride looks. So yeah, it's really cool to see an alcohol themed park, and all the rides here were just a delight to look at. Really great work. Alright, in 11th place we have this park made by Susbucket. Well yeah, what you can immediately see is the park is quite small, but everything that is here is really filled in a great way. So yeah, something that immediately springs into view is this elliptic Ferris wheel that just looks awesome. I wish it actually had some guests on it. They're probably avoiding it because of the low ratings. Let me quickly take a look. Yeah, so it says allow arbitrary ride types. Well, if I enable that cheat, you can see it's a twister roller coaster. If it was changed into a lift, for example, then it would have been a transport ride, which means guests would always ride it regardless of its stats, as long as the ride was free. So yeah, if that was done, then you would actually see people ride it. So yeah, I think this is a bit of a missed opportunity. Also, many people were complaining that no one would actually go on most of the rides. Also, this ride, the wooden roller coaster, it doesn't get any stats. So yeah, probably something was done wrong with one of the rides. Probably had an infinite loop somewhere, which caused the stat calculation function to get stuck, which means none of the rides actually get stats. And if a ride which can get G-forces doesn't have stats, it means 90% of the guests will avoid it. So yeah, that's probably why barely any of the rides have any guests on them. So yeah, that's really a missed opportunity. When you make a park, you should really make sure your rides at least do get stats. That way guests will actually ride them. Except this, well, yeah, the fact that the rides don't have any guests on it, the rides do look really good. I love this ride that was made here with the suspended roller coaster cars. I love the colors on this ride. So the circus track pieces in the middle. It looks so good. This building looks amazing. Also some really nice buildings here with shops and stalls in them. I love the entrance for this elliptic Ferris wheel, that's great. And also the station for this wooden roller coaster is amazing. I love how these red brick pieces from the expansion are used here to make these towers. That's a really clever trick. So yeah, once again, just great building skills from Sespaket. Okay, then we get to the top 10. Here's the park made by Stephen Neck 3. He made some really cool rides in this park. Well, you can see what's it called, a laydown coaster or flying coaster here. I believe it actually gets launched backwards here up this hill, then forwards again. Then it does a few circuits. And there's some really cool decorations here, some really cool supports and buildings around. You can actually see it go here. So first it travels backwards a bit, then it gets launched forwards, and then it does a few cycles of that until it reaches up here somewhere near the top. Well, yeah, this is pretty cool. This actually looks like quite a fun but intense ride to be on. And other than that, there's some other cool rides here. I really like how this top spin is integrated here. Some really nice buildings around it. And here's a racetrack. You can see some cars, soapbox cars, dueling against each other. I really love this stands next to the ride. These colors work really well. Also love the roofs above them. Here we have a building called Munchie Deck. Also looks really awesome. And here we have a vertical drop coaster, which is also integrated very nicely into the area. So yeah, there's just so much cool stuff in this entry. This was definitely one of my favorites. It's great to see Stephen Neck improve so much at this game over the time that he has been a member on my Discord server. So yeah, I really hope to see more of this player soon. This looks really great. And also, if you have the chance, go and check out these parks. They really deserve it. Alright, on to the next entry. Okay, here in 9th place we have this park made by Deeth Ben. And yeah, this park looks chaotic, but in a good way. This fountain looks really cool. I really like how we suspended this rotor drop car above it. That's pretty cool. This fountain is really awesome. So there's this steeplechase cars going around it on an infinite track. And of course the main attraction of this park is the Hog Log. It's a really crazy ride. It's a spinning wild mouse. You can actually see it go down here on the water. Then it travels upwards here, and well, it does some shenanigans inside this building. Then at some point it gets launched out of this tube. You can see it go on the water here. Then travels downwards here. It bumps from the track. At least looks at it. Then it bumps on the Enterprise, which is called the launch pad. Yeah, it's just made here to spin infinitely. Well, it just does 255 rotation. After that it bumps onto this launch track, and this coaster here actually is not completed. You can see a crane here. The crane, I really like how it's done. So with a suspended monorail cabin for the cabin. Here there's the top of the coaster. So yeah, you can see the cars get launched here on the launch track. They actually fly off on the top, and then they fall into this building here. In the building they also do some crazy stuff. I think there's actually the exit of the ride. But yeah, it's one crazy ride. If you don't care too much about realism, this is a really fun park to look at. I actually saw some wheels here under the crane. Oh, he actually used the hot rod cars for the wheels. That's a really clever trick. I haven't seen that before. Some cozy seats here made using these Virginia reel tubs. Here's also a really cool ride. You can see it. I think it uses the inverted shuttle coaster cars. Not actually sure what the ride does. Oh, it stopped here. Let's see this ride next. Oh, it actually gets launched forwards, then backwards, and forwards again. Oh, and here it... okay, this is one crazy ride. Okay, here it travels vertically downward, probably, then travels through the loop, and then probably at some point it pops up again here. So yeah, this park really has some crazy rides, some crazy buildings as well here. So yeah, you can see that a lot of effort was put into this park. Probably also because it's in year 162. That's a crazy amount of hours this guy put into the park. I also really like this entrance for this coaster, which was actually used as the entrance for the park. That's also really clever. Or maybe it's not the entrance of the park. I'm not really sure. Ah yeah, the parking is here according to the sign. So yeah, overall, really crazy entry. I think it could have maybe used a little bit more. Probably some tall buildings maybe here in the corner. I'm not sure. Or maybe some... well, probably could have used some extra details, but overall this is just a really nice park. Alright, here we have the entry made by Swag Titties. He actually recreated a part of Six Flags Magic Mountain. It's one of his favorite parks to build. At least he made he recreated a few sections of the park, and it just looks absolutely gorgeous. Well, this was the ride that it was all about. It's Lex Luthor Drop of Doom, which is actually attached to the side of this reverse freefall coaster. So here you can see the track. It's actually attached to the side. And then it drops down into this building again. Here you can also see a slice of Goliath. I love how he put this Goliath letters here, put the I a little bit more to the front, and behind that is the entrance to the coaster, I believe. So I think that's also how it's done in the real park. Also some really nice buildings, and here's some really cool swing. Also some shoestring shenanigans here. These buildings just look awesome. If you remember on my Discord, be sure to check out the channel called The Swag Shack. It's full of buildings that Swag Titties created, and also buildings from other players that he really liked. So yeah, if you want to get good at making buildings like this, usually without custom scenery, then be sure to check out that channel. Now, some complaints many people had about this park was that while everything here looks really good, the park is just cut out in a way that you cannot see any of the rides functioning. So this ride would have been much cooler if the reverse freefall coaster was actually functioning, or if we could actually see Goliath in action, for example. So yeah, I think that's a bit of a missed opportunity. But everything that is in the park just looks absolutely stunning. Go download this park and check it out for yourself if you have the opportunity. Okay, here we have the entry made by Red Raider 2022. One thing you can see is that he used a bit of a different palette. It looks a bit bluish. It's a bit subtle effect. Well, this park is obviously mushroom themed. It's called Magic Mushroom Police Chase. I believe there was also a ride called Bad Trip. So yeah, overall, I think this park looks absolutely stunning. I love these mushrooms that he made. They look really cool. Yeah, this tram ride also looks awesome. I love this bridge that he made here. These buildings, they also look really nice. Although I don't see why they have a mesh fence on top of them. That probably could have been removed and it would still look good. Well, there's lots of expansion scenery around the park. There's lots of cool rides. I love this Pulsar-like ride called Splash Boats. I don't know, maybe it should have been called Splash Boats. I'm not sure. There's this ride here inside the building. It uses elevator cars which travel up and down. I guess it sort of looks like the Tower of Terror kind of ride of Midlake County Jail. But yeah, that's really cool. That's a really cool trick. It really is what this contest was made for people to invent crazy rides like this. So yeah, I really like the way this ride looks, and I really like how you can see it here through these windows. So yeah, this building is just really well decorated. The other rides in this park are also really nice. This Magic Mushroom Police Chase, really crazy ride. Oh, you can actually see it travel backwards here. So yeah, it goes all over the place here, and it's really cool. So yeah, great entry. Okay, here in 6th place we have the entry made by Hank the Super Nerd. As usual, a really great entry from Hank the Super Nerd. Obviously, you can immediately see these palette shenanigans. This yellow greenish water, which I love how the barrels float on top here. Totally doesn't look unsafe at all. Here's a really cool ride called Mutants. So it's used. I think it's used one of the cars from one of the expansions. So it travels around this track here, and because of its speed and because of these cars, it will actually swing outwards. I think that looks really cool. Also, you can see the nuclear symbol in the middle here. Lots of cool buildings. I really like this ride. It's called Toxic Dip. I have no idea how this works, but this ride is really cool. Use in shuttle mode. There's a station here on top, and for some reason it travels down here and then it goes upwards again. I have no idea how he did it. I do see that for some reason it has 3 stations, and the game complains that some of the stations aren't connected. So yeah, I don't know how, but it's a really cool ride, and I love how it's executed. Really well done. Here's a flying coaster or lay down coaster. This looks really nice going through this building here. I like how the queue line travels on top of the building here. Yeah, just so much cool stuff to look at. I like how the green color is actually looks in this palette. It's a more bluish type of green. I think it works really well with this in combination with this yellowish green. So yeah, there's just so many little details in the park. So really, it's more than I could cover in this video. So if you have the time, go download the park and check this one out for yourself. You'll probably discover a lot of stuff that I haven't even seen yet. Alright, in 5th place we have this park made by Ayrton. Well, which you can immediately see it's just a big density of buildings and rides. So yeah, that usually tends to score well in these contests. What immediately drew my attention is this top spin here with a backdrop of a waterfall and these rocks made with ruins pieces, some candy pieces, and even some of the Goliath letters. Yeah, that's really cool. This is really well executed. This is probably my favorite little area of the park, and also these plants, the colors here look really good. This is probably my favorite piece. Other than that, I also love these stalls that are made here. It's actually a duck hunt stall. You can actually see he made a little track here with some monorail trains going around. I guess those are ducks that people have to shoot. This is just so clever. Here's a little go-kart ride on the top of a building. I love the awnings that he made here using a wooden coaster track and mine train coaster track. Here's also a cool ride. I think it's shoestringed. So yeah, these actually run in the opposite direction. So yeah, he probably did some shoestring shenanigans to make sure the cars run like this. But it's really well executed. And of course there's the main ride here in the park. It's two flying coasters which are running above each other, with the guests facing each other for quite a lot of the track. So yeah, I'm here from the station. I think they get launched upwards, and then they travel. You can see them the tracks being above each other here for a lot of the track. Let's see if we can get it to run. Maybe it's lacking guests because of the rain. I'm not sure. Ah, there it goes. Yeah, so you can see it gets launched here, and the trains actually travel very closely above each other. But yeah, I especially love the supports in this area. That's really well done. And there's actually another ride here that goes in the middle. It's an inverted roller coaster that actually uses the mini suspended coaster track. It works surprisingly well. So yeah, overall a great entry with just so much stuff to look at. Here's another little ride, also shoestringed. This just looks amazing. It even goes in reverse for part of the ride. But yeah, I love the roof above this ride. Man, there's just I love everything in this park. So yeah, go check it out for yourself. Alright, in fourth place we have this entry made by Mama Rias. Yeah, this park is also amazing. Already starting from the entrance, you can see this wave that he made when you're using this coaster track. That just looks awesome. Well, something you can immediately see here is this coaster. This coaster looks awesome. So yeah, there's a vertical track here, and it goes up with a vertical chain lift, and then it drops down here using a beyond vertical drop. So yeah, this part is really well done. I don't know really how he did it. Well, yeah, it required some merging, of course, but it's really well executed. If you look closely, you can actually see the coaster car turn backwards here for a bit, but the effect is convincing enough. It looks really good. Overall, the layout of the coaster is really nice. I love these custom supports. They were also done in a really nice way. Here's another cool ride. So yeah, there's these bobsleigh coasters going around the track on this ride called Whirlpool. And here we have this ride called, I need to click it, Dive Master. So yeah, this ride is also really well executed. So yeah, the guests actually sit in a one-person train. A little bit difficult to see. Yeah, and then it gets pulled back up here. You can actually see it get pulled backwards. And then it goes forwards, swings back and forth a few times until it returns to the station. So yeah, the track is actually hidden with corrupt elements, so I cannot show how it's actually done, but it's really well executed. It's one of my favorite rides that were made in this contest. Other than that, you can see a Wild Mouse coaster here, which actually uses I think these are the stand-up roller coaster trains called Corkscrew Surfer. Probably named that because it has a corkscrew here. So yeah, it's an interesting ride to say the least. But yeah, overall this park is really nice. Oh yeah, I also love this little shipwreck that he made here. So yeah, really cool entry, and well deserving of such a high score. Great job. Alright, then in third place we have entry from Mackett, who consistently scores high in my contests. Mackett made this water park, and damn, this looks amazing. Yeah, immediately, of course, your attention is drawn to this to the boats going around here called Lazy River, and of course these two slides here, which occupy this little island here. I love how this ride yeah, is here in the middle of this little island with the lazy river going around here. This is also one of my favorite parts of this contest. This just looks amazing. So these little beds here, they were done using a mini coaster track. It probably works better than the mini golf track that I saw someone use in a different park. Here's another little slide. Here you can see one of these flying saucer rides, but it's actually on top of the water, and it's surrounded by some steeplechase track with all these bushes around here. It's also done really well, and the buildings in the park are just amazing. So yeah, like usual, really great work from Macket. Can't say I'm very surprised. I also love these tubes that you can find here everywhere next to the water. Also, this you can see a bridge here, but even the bridge has nice little details. Macket put this wooden coaster track under it, just to give it this this effect that the wooden track gives. Well, yeah, the park does not have as much content as some of the others, but it doesn't need to, because everything that's here looks amazing. So great job once again from Macket. Really well deserving of third place. Alright, and then here we get to the winner of this round. But you might be asking, winner, but where's the player that got second place? Well, we actually had a tie for first place. So yeah, that's quite amazing. But yeah, so one of the first place entrants was this park from Skiffa. Skiffa made this really cool haunted mansion surrounded by some really nice rides. Yeah, you don't often see a spooky theme in entries for my contest, so it's really nice to see one this round. So yeah, of course, what immediately grabs your attention is this big haunted manor. It has a spinning wild mouse coaster on it, which travels through and over the building. Building is quite glitchy in some places. Yeah, that's the only nitpick I have about it, because it looks absolutely amazing. Let me quickly turn off the rain. So yeah, there's just a great mix of track architecture, normal scenery, but also some scenery from the expansions. Overall, this building looks really amazing. I wonder how much time Skiffa spent on the building. And here we also have, I think it's a laydown coaster, which actually gets launched out of this building here, and then travels through this track with all these inversions. And this is my favorite part of the track. You can actually see it's painted white here for a bit, and then it has all this bone scenery. It's like traveling through a skeleton, and then this is probably my favorite part of the coaster. This thing looks really amazing. So yeah, Skiffa has delivered really good work so far in the last few entries, and this entry is no exception. Also, there's a train going around the park. You can see some mine trains here. And these bridges that he made, they look really good. I love all these chairlift wires above it. And well, yeah, there's just too much stuff here to look at. There's some boats going around here without people on them. So these are actually ghost boats, so they're supposed to do that. It's a pretty cool trick. You can see guests going around here on a river with death sitting behind them. The river Styx. And there's also a necro dancer. I guess it's one of those disco rides. But yeah, it's just a really cool park. Just full of hidden stuff. It's just one awesome entry, and I'm happy that this one got a shared first place. So now let's move on to the other park that got first place. Alright, here we have the other park that got first place and was made by none less than Julia Mild, who also consistently ranks high in these contests. And damn, this Eiffel Tower is awesome, and must have been difficult to build, because when you're in the lowest zoom level you cannot actually see the top, so it must have been built in this zoom level. It must have been quite tricky, but damn, this thing looks absolutely amazing, especially considering it was made without custom scenery. So yeah, there's actually some rides hidden in the Eiffel Tower, of course. Well, let's first have a look at the surrounding scenery. So yeah, the buildings here, they look really nice, with a really cool bridge here. Some nice trees, gardens around the Eiffel Tower. So French flag here, it's pretty cool. Here you can see a custom carousel made with steeplechase cars. Here we have custom Ferris wheel, actually made with monorail trains, and that works surprisingly well. I love the way how it goes around on this track. It looks really good. Also, I love the colors on it. And alright, let's take a look at the rides inside the Eiffel Tower. So yeah, from the start here, you actually have some elevators which take the guests up to the second level. So yeah, it's kind of a lift which uses the tram cars. I think that's done really well. It uses shuttle mode. So yeah, guests enter the ride from here, and then like that they get to the second level of the tower. Oh, it actually travels down quite fast. And from there there's some other elevator rides that take the guests another level up. I actually think this area is closed off to guests. Yeah, the rides are closed here, probably just to prevent them from going up here and getting lost. Or maybe Julia Mild just forgot to open them, I'm not sure. But yeah, of course, this tower must have taken quite a while to build, and it just looks absolutely amazing. So once again, this is well deserving first place in this round, shared first place. Alright, those were all the entries of this round. I hope you enjoyed watching them. Like I said, if you become a member on my Discord, you can simply download all these entries and check them out for yourself. Obviously, I cannot spend too much time showing all these entries, because else the video would become too long. So if you have the time, just be sure to check them out yourself. Alright, and if you want to join any of these contests, I usually make an announcement video when the round starts. You can simply become a member on my Discord, and then in the announcement section I will tell you everything you need to do to join one of these rounds. Alright, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope to see you join one of these contests soon, and I hope to see you again in the next video. See you later.